Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 802A. And today's date is October 27th, 2015. And the title of this episode is U.S. Government Has Lost the Economic Manipulation Game. The economy is sliding into the abyss. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I'll be uploading an interview with John Rubino. If you are on the X22Report.com email alert system, you will get an email. If you signed up to YouTube on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel, YouTube should send you an email. If not, you can come right over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. You will see the video, or you can come over to the X22Report.com site, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see the video on the right-hand side. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we've been hearing a lot from the European nations where they're telling us that everything is fine, we're in a recovery. We're hearing from the UK that everything looks good. And we are getting information that everything is not as good as they say. In Britain, the economic recovery has slowed now to 0.5% between the months of July and September. And this was following a slump in construction. The third quarter of 2015 is now down from 0.7% seen in the second quarter. And this was lower than the economists expected. Their manufacturing shrank for a third quarter in a row. Construction is suffering its biggest contraction in 3 years, and that has dropped around 2.2%. And what we're seeing is individual European nations, the UK, Germany, they are all heading in the same direction as the United States and Canada and Australia and Switzerland. Because this system that they created, which creates a lot more debt than there is money to pay that back, cannot be sustained. Here in the United States, what are we seeing? We are seeing the economy completely falling apart. Everything is flashing red saying recession, depression, collapse. We're heading in this direction. Now, the United States government uses the conference board to let everyone know how consumers feel, what their confidence level is at. And of course, they brought the gas prices down to make everyone feel better that they have more money, but it really hasn't been working. And remember, the conference board, that is a paid organization where they receive funds from the United States government. Now, they're continually showing that everyone's confidence is up. It dipped a little bit, but their graph is trending upward. Now, on the opposite side, we have Gallup, which is a Gallup poll which is taken by everyday people, and their consumer confidence model is completely different than the conference board. Their model shows that everything is trending downward in a declining. Basically, Gallup's economic confidence registered at -13 for the week ending October 25th, which kind of matched last week's. And we're seeing that this has been in a downward trend since January, which shows us that the actual people are saying, you know something, this economy is not getting better. Now, of course, the government likes to use their own organizations. They fund them. They manipulate the numbers. They want to show what they want to show that we're in a recovery. But everything that we've been looking at, real estate, retail, the real unemployment, GDP, inflation numbers, and what's really going on in this country and around the world, we're starting to see that this economy is sinking deeper and deeper into a depression. Now, even Rent-A-Center, which basically supplies electronics, appliances to the lower middle class, where a lot of times they don't have the money, they don't have the funds to purchase these goods, so they rent it. And what they're finding is that sales are way down. The CFO of Rent-A-Center said the company is challenged by the sales of computer, which are down double digits. And we're also seeing problems with appliances, furniture, and everything else. And they're saying the economy is to blame for this. The U.S. consumer is struggling, and the last thing that any of us needs is another payment. So basically, people do not have the discretionary funds to go out and say, you know something, let me get that big TV. Let me get that new couch. They're saying, you know something, I can make do with this couch. I can make do with the TV that I have, and I don't want to buy it. I don't want to rent it. And we're seeing this out in the retail world where people are not going out and purchasing. This is why we see a contraction of retail right now. This is why we see stores closing at this point. And we understand those youths that are coming out of college, that are graduating, they can't find jobs either. And they're not helping the economy whatsoever because they're still living with their parents. They have these part-time jobs, and they can barely pay back their student loans. But the wealthy understand what's going on. The elite understand. And they always seem to get out right before everything collapses. For example, Sam Zell. He is dumping 23,000 apartments because he realizes we are at the top of the real estate market and it is time to get out right now. And he called the real estate market back in 2007. And he is getting out right now because he understands the real estate market is coming down. And back in 2007, he sold his company Equity Office Properties to Blackstone for $23 billion. Soon after he did this, the commercial property market crashed as prices fell and debt defaults surged. So right now, he's unloading $5.4 billion worth of real estate because he's saying we've hit the top. We are heading down. And the wealthy, the elite, they always get out on top, not just with real estate, with stocks or any other type of investment, because they understand. They have an inside track of what is going on here. And I've been tracking real estate right now, and let me tell you, prices are coming down in many, many of the areas. Yes, there are certain areas where they're staying level, and other areas they're still climbing a little bit, but for the most part, everything's starting to fall apart. We're starting to see services PMI. They are continually still coming down. They have plunged 54.4. This is the lowest in 9 months. This flash data shows the weakest payroll number since February. And business confidence remains very low. We are now seeing durable goods. They have tumbled. And durable goods are appliances where people usually just buy them as a one-off type of thing, a washer, a dryer, a dishwasher, electronics, TVs, cars. And September durable goods, new orders, dropped by 1.2%. The fifth monthly drop this year. What does this tell us? The people are tapped out. They don't have the money to buy this type of product. They're not doing it. And if they're not buying the product, manufacturers do not have to produce. This is why we see manufacturing down. If the manufacturers are not producing, they don't need the raw material. This is why we see the Baltic Dry Index down to 739 points. The entire global industrial manufacturing is falling apart right in front of our eyes. It's telling us that this whole entire system is collapsing. We're heading into a holiday season. This is supposed to be the time of year where people go out and purchase this type of goods, where manufacturers produce, where they order the raw material. We are seeing the opposite right now. This tells us that we are headed into a time frame where this entire economy is going to accelerate downward. And nothing the Fed or the U.S. government, they will not be able to, there's nothing that they can do about this whatsoever. Yes, they can manipulate numbers. They can say, okay, 0% interest rates. But the economy will continue its downward trend. Yes, they might slow it, but it will not improve. We've had proof of this They've created QE 1234. They bought up the toxic real estate on the bank's balance sheets. And what have we seen since that time? A little bump up and then a downward trend. And now it's getting worse than we've ever seen it before. Actually, we're back to the time of where we were back in 2009. This is where we stand right now. And it's just going to get worse. This is the calm before the economic storm, where they're telling us everything is fine. We've seen this drop in the stock market. They pumped it back up. What do they call that? Oh, that's right, a dead cat bounce. We've seen this multiple times before in 2008, 2001, 1929, where everyone believed that everything was okay because the government said, see, we fixed it once again. Everything is fine. They explained away why this happened, and everyone went on their business, not paying attention to what was really happening. And what's really happening right now is the entire foundation of this country has crumbled apart. And the entire house that was built on top of it is going to crash through it. This is what we're seeing right now. This is the calm right before everything hits the fan. And this is why you should all continually prepare. Do not stop. Don't be fooled by this. I mean, look at what we're looking at right now. And when we approach Black Friday and Cyber Monday and retail sales are in the dumpers, and we go through the holiday season, and it's absolutely awful. Of course, the corporate media is not going to report on this. If the sales are bad, they're just going to pretend it didn't happen. They're going to say it will get better later on. This will show us that we are really headed into a terrible, terrible time. Right now, retail sales are down. Usually they're up at this point. I mean, we have Halloween coming up. We have Thanksgiving coming up. We have the holiday season coming up. But already the retail sales are showing negative. So continue to prepare. Continue to get ready. Make sure you have the food, medical supplies, cash on hand, gold and silver, toiletries, a weapon to protect your family. You need to do this. If you haven't done this already, you can go to lifereliance.com. They have bug out bags, they have food, they have water filtration system. You can customize your order, have it delivered right to your door. But you need to continually do this. Do not stop. We see Iran right now. They have purchased a stake in the China-led AIIB. So here we are with 50 countries already who have bought into the AIIB to rival the IMF. And we can see which way Iran is leaning. It is leaning away from the United States because they realize eventually the dollar is collapsing. They know this. They're going to look towards China. They're going to look towards Russia and away from the United States. Obamacare was developed to bring in revenue to the government and to, of course, make the insurance companies very, very wealthy. And, of course, they use the cover story that they're providing a benefit to the American people. And, of course, you know this is not a benefit because if it was so good, our government employees would have taken it. They would have dropped their government insurance plans and they would have hopped on Obamacare. But they didn't because they knew that this was junk. Basically, that's what it is. And what we're seeing right now is that people who are earning a living, working for companies, can't afford the insurance. And I'm talking about those people who are working for $12, $15 an hour, or working as a waiter or waitress, relying on tips. And of course, the employer mandate said if you have 50 employees or more, you need to supply your employees with insurance. But of course, the employees are paying for this. And we see in a lot of these businesses, employees, they just don't have the funds to pay for this. For instance, if you are an employee and you're making $15 an hour, you would have to pay $130 a month. And if you're making $15 an hour, that's quite a bit. But you have to remember, the insurance has a deductible of $2,500. So you get no benefit whatsoever until you reach the deductible of $2,500. So that is a lot of money. And that is for one person. If you have a family of 2 or 3 or 4, guess what? You can't do it. And a lot of these people are saying, listen, I'm not taking this insurance. I'm skipping it right now because it is way too expensive and I get no benefit. If I have to decide between food or insurance, I'm choosing food. And we're seeing a lot of this. And of course, then these people will get hit with penalties. So where is the benefit to the people at this point? It isn't there. The benefit is to the corporations because now they're not supplying these people with health benefits. So as time goes on, this is just going to get worse and worse, and people are going to have less and less money to spend in the economy, which will then push the economy over the cliff, which we're seeing right now. Because remember, 70% of GDP is made up of consumer spending. People are not spending. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.